Hello fellow makeup lovers, how are you guys doing today? Welcome back to another day of Indie Miss. Today we're going to be doing a very highly requested video of mine, which is my entire single shadow collection. When I tell you guys I just had a workout doing the thumbnail for this video, I am not kidding. We have a lot of shadows to talk about today. I do want to let you know that normally in all of my videos, sometime earlier this year, I started doing where I put purchased or gifted each time I talk about a different product, just so I can be as transparent as possible. But for this video, I'm probably not going to do that just because a lot of these brands, I've bought a portion for myself. They've sent me some, so it's a mixture, and I just feel like having to go through and specify every single piece that is or isn't gifted, it would be a lot because they're single shadows. They're so tiny. I have a bunch of different brands and some palettes, and it's a mixture. It's also a little bit of an organized chaos because I use my single shadows all the time. I move them around. I make my own BYOPs. So a lot of times they're not in like their specific spot all together with their brand. They just get moved around a lot, and I kept telling myself I was going to organize them back for this video, but I was like, you know what, I'm not going to try and be perfect. I'm just going to show you how I genuinely keep them and how I get use out of them. So let's just jump right on in. Okay, so the very first palette I have here is from Give Me Glow. It's the extra large Pro Custom palette. I think I got this on clearance because it was blemished or something. I want to say I paid $10 or less for it. And then inside I have majority of my Terra Moons Cosmetics collection. So I've got all their iridescent chameleons, and then I just kind of organize them by color. There's a lot of shades missing in here because I use them in my build your own palettes a lot. They just have really great shadows. So it's a little bit all over the place, but Terra Moons is one of my favorite brands. All right, next I have a big magnetic empty palette, and this one is from Adept Cosmetics. I want to say again that I got this on sale for maybe like $14, and this one's really nice. I like that it doesn't have any branding on it. And then inside I have a mixture of Give Me Glow shadows, JD Glow shadows, and Sugar Pill shadows. I just have only a couple from Sugar Pill, but obviously you can see there's so many beautiful sparkly shadows in here, and I just keep these all together because they are bigger pans. I'm just going through quickly because we have a lot to talk about, but I will make sure to link videos that correspond to this down below. I'm pretty sure I have an entire single shadow playlist, so if you want to see more in depth, there are more videos that I've done. And then I have another one of those Adept Crocodile palettes, and this one is my Divina shadows. Again, there's quite a bunch missing in here because when it's full, I actually don't have any more room for any more Divina shadows. I've run out of room in this palette, but they've kind of been moved all over the place for build your own palettes, and I've done a few videos on certain ones, so they're everywhere, but I love their shadows. So this next bundle here, all of these palettes are from Shop Missy. They have really affordable magnetic palettes, so I keep a lot of shadows in here, and I also have some other ones from them as well that are smaller, but as far as the bigger ones go, I've got this one here, which has a really cute marble print on it, and this has a mixture of some ColourPop shadows that ended up in here for some reason, I don't know why, and then I also have a touch of Glam shadows as well, which they have some really beautiful sparkly shadows. I feel like I don't use those enough on my channel, but they are really pretty. And then I have this one, which has some shadows from Igneous Cosmetics over here, and then I want to say this one's from Sydney Grace. That's from Terra Moons. So this is one of those palettes that's kind of just ended up with a few different leftovers. And then next I have this palette, which is full of ColourPop singles. I haven't bought a single shadow from ColourPop in a really long time. I bought majority of them when they first released them. They had like a peach release and a pink release, and I remember buying those collections. And there's a few of the original ones in here, but I feel like overall I prefer my indie singles a lot more. And next I have this palette, which has a bunch of different face products. I'll just include this as well because I do keep magnetic palettes with face products. There's some from Bitter Lace Beauty in here, which I could tell as soon as I opened it because they have such a strong scent to them. I have one from Lethal Cosmetics here, which isn't exactly my best bronzer shade. It's a little bit too like yellowy and dark for me. Got some from Fair Beauty. And then next I have a palette that actually broke from Shop Missy, and I feel bad about it because I've recommended them so many times, but also I pretty sure I broke it myself by pulling on the wrong side, and I think that a little bit of glue will fix it right up. But here's what this one looks like. There's a mixture of Cosmetics shadows, and who else is in here? Maybe a few from Sydney Grace as well. And then this next palette that I have here on this side is some shadows from Tracy's Powder Room that they sent me recently. And then I also have some over here from Sydney Grace. And this one's actually a newer palette to me, so I meant to fill in some extra ones in here. I have some from Shine by SD that I need to put in a palette, so that'll probably end up there soon. I have a Makeup Geek palette here. I want to say this was, yeah, Makeup Geek collaborated with Z Palette to come out with their own for their website, and I've had this palette for a really long time. I want to say this is actually my very first empty magnetic palette, but inside it's mostly full of colored rain shadows. And then there's just a few Cosmetics. I have a empty magnetic palette here from Alwan. I want to say that they're a seller on Amazon, and they sent this to me, but I just have some different colorful face products in there, just from a variety of brands. There's Sparrow Cosmetics, which if I remember correctly, I think they're actually shutting down, unfortunately. I've got one from Touch of Glam, Clarity Cosmetics, so just a mixture there as well. And then next I've got some palettes from Coastal Scents. They did send me the empty ones, but I really, really like these just because they're super convenient. So I've got a larger one here, and this is majority my Cleona regular shadows. There's a few other ones mixed in, but I just really like the packaging on this because you can see everything so well. I've got another one from them, which is in this kind of packaging. As you can see, they've got different sizes available. I want to say this is for their blushes or highlighters or something like that, but I have just a bunch more. I want to say these are all JD Glow shadows in here, and then one highlighter from Cosmetics made it as well. And then I have another one from Coastal Scents that they also offer, which doesn't have any spacing in it, so you can do whatever shadows, whatever sizes that you want. And this is actually completely full of Coastal Scents shadows, and I've only used these a tiny, tiny little bit. So if you'd like to see me do more videos on their single shadows, just let me know. But I really, really do like their empty magnetic palettes. Okay, next I have one of the Makeup Forever empty magnetic palettes here. I want to say this was the extra large version, and it is full of lethal shadows. Again, you can see there's lots of spots missing because I have one or two palettes right now that have lethal shadows in them as a BYOP, so I took them out of here, but this was full at one point, and I do have an entire video on all of my lethal shadows, swatching and comparing them all. So I actually have a bunch of little palettes from ColourPop, and this was more of like a DIY because they used to sell these and they had enough space for 4 shadows. If you pulled out the foam padding, the bottom was a magnet strip, so I turned them all into single shadow palettes that hold, I think, 10 shadows each. So this one here has some single shadows from MBA Cosmetics. This one has some shadows from Igneous Cosmetics. I got a few more from them, but they're not here. Don't know where they are. I've got this one, which I think these are from Kalon Cosmetics. Normally for these little ColourPop palettes, I do brands that I just don't have as many shadows from. So this next one is from Vanessa's Vanity, which I'm not sure what's happening with them. They haven't posted on their Instagram in like an entire year, so I hope that they're doing okay. And then I also have a few single shadows here from Kristen Lee Cosmetics. I do have more shadows from them, but they were in a separate palette and they were like all green and blue together. I have another Z palette here, and this one is most of my single shadows from Sydney Grace. Okay, next I have this palette here, which is the Adept Cosmetics Love for All Empty Magnetic Palette. And inside is my dupe version of the Natasha Nona Trio Chrome palette. Again, it's missing some shades because they've kind of got moved around. Oh, I need to put that with my Cleona shadows. I forgot that was in there. Okay, next I have my palette of Shame. This is an empty magnetic palette from Tara Moon's Cosmetics. It's super, super cute, but I have a bunch of shadows in here from Adept Cosmetics. I actually bought, I want to say like 6 of these like forever ago. They relaunched their updated formula. I bought a few and then they sent extras in my package. And I meant to use them right away, and somehow they just continue to sit and sit and sit, even though they look really beautiful and I've heard such good things. So I really, really need to use those. I have a palette here from Tarte, and this was actually sent to me from Bad to the Brow. She was getting rid of some empty magnetic palettes. I always need more empty magnetic palettes, so I think I just paid for shipping for this one, which is really, really nice quality, super cute. and I have a bunch of Bitter Lace Beauty highlighters in there. Okay, I've got some more palettes from Adept Cosmetics here, and these are their two-sided palettes. So this first one is like almost all of my face singles. So I've got a bunch of blushes from Makeup Geek, because a while back they had a sale when they were getting rid of some product that wasn't perfect. They just had tiny little marks in them, but they were on super sale, so I bought almost every single Makeup Geek blush at that time. I also have the Makeup Geek Fair and Light Cool and Warm contours, which I really should use more. And then on this side I have a bunch of highlighters, some from Clarity, some from Vanessa's Vanity, Touch of Glam. I have this one here that broke on me because the inside flap fell out, but these are all of my shadows from Makeup Geek. And then this one here is all of my shadows from Luxie Beauty. So you can see I've got quite a bit of them. I don't have the Butterfly Kisses collection in here. And then I have this palette here from Prime & Base Cosmetics, and it's super cute because it has a little Taurus on it, which I love, but I remember thinking that these single shadows were just okay, and they don't have a magnet to them, which I thought was really annoying because I can't move them around to get more use out of them. I feel kind of confined to keep them in this palette until I buy some magnets and do a little DIY moment. Now we can start getting into some of the smaller palettes that I have. I've got this one here from Lethal Cosmetics, which has a few shadows from Tracy's Powder Room. I've got this cute one from Divina, which has my dupe version of the Anastasia Norvina palette. Obviously this is a lot smaller, but I did a curated version of that, and I think there was 2 more shades, but they've been moved elsewhere. But that was the overall color story. I did do a video on that. It was like what the Norvina palette should have been or something like that. And then I have a palette here from Lethal, which just has a few single shadows from Sigil inspired. I have, ooh, I love these. These are the little Itse palettes. And I want to say that these were normally like $20 each or something, because they're like super cute, nice, thick material. They remind me of a Natasha Nona palette, like the Lila palette and the gold palette are the same kind of packaging, but I got them on super sale for like $4 each, something ridiculous, so I bought quite a few of them. So this one is full of products from Cloud Beauty. I have a little Sephora Z palette here with most of my Kristen Lee Cosmetics shadows. They did like a mean green bundle or something along those lines, so I had all of them in here. I have another one of those Itse palettes here. This one's in gold. So in this palette, the top 2 shades here are from Shine by SD, but everything else is Terra Moons. And this was right when they first released their products. I remember buying a few things from them, and then they also sent me some. I want to say this matte is called Have Mercy. Yes, it is. I bought it literally because I love Uncle Jesse. That's it. And then I have another palette here from Lethal Cosmetics, and this has my little watermelon inspired color story in there that Lethal did, and I just repeated after them. And then I have another palette from Terra Moon Cosmetics here. Again, this was when they were just starting to release products, and in here I have all of my shadows from Love Luxe Beauty. I have a little palette from Divina here, and this was one that I did super recently. It was my Build Your Own palette inspired by Lights Up by Harry Styles. So it had a lot of like the primary pops of color and grunginess, and I did a whole video on this if you want to see it. I'll link it down below, but I really, really love this color story. I think it's super fun. And then I've got this palette here, again from Coastal Scents, and it is my BYOP Perfect Cool Tone palette. I used a few of these shades on my face today, but I absolutely love this one. I've been reaching for it a ton. And then I have a Coastal Scents palette here that does not have the see-through top, but I just went ahead and put in most of my multi-chrome single shadows. I have 2 palettes here from We Makeup. This one is a little bit more neutral with like a pop of a cool toned color on the bottom. They did send me that one, and then this other one here was sent to me by my friend Angie. She did a little BYOP for me for my birthday, and I really, really love this color story. I have some more little 9-pan palettes from Shop Miss A here. This one is the new shadows from Divina. There's Star Chasers, and then a new Aurora Flare. And I have the most recent Galaxy Dust shadows that were add-ons. There's a really beautiful green that goes here that's missing because I was considering putting that in the Harry Styles palette, but I think I decided not to, so it just ended up somewhere. And then I've got another one from Shop Miss A here, And this has some shadows from Fair Beauty and Beauty Bar Baby. I have my little Makeup Geek quad with my dupe for the Pat McGrath palette. I can never remember what it was called, but it was that exact same color story, and I did a video on that. I have a little magnetic palette here from Sydney Grace. I bought this one specifically because I knew my friend Bad to the Brow designed the outside, and I just thought it was really, really cool. And then in here, oh no, that shadow looks like it's overflowing. I don't even know what any of these shadows are. I don't really know. That's one of those palettes that just kind of ends up together. It happens sometimes. I'm pretty sure this is about to be the same thing. I have some palettes from Makeup Geek. I actually bought a bunch of these on sale for like $2 each. I thought it was a really good deal. You know what? It might have even been less. It might have been like $1 each, and then the shipping was kind of expensive, but it ended up being worth it just because it got so many palettes. Anyways, I thought it was going to be good. I didn't realize that I have to like pop them out of the back each time, which isn't my personal preference, but I have an entire box of these palettes now, so they need to be my personal preference, or I need to find some friends who like single shadows and start gifting these. But this one here is just a hodgepodge of shadows that ended up together, although it does actually look like a kind of cute color story, even though I didn't do that at all by any purpose. And then I have another one here, which I'm pretty sure, yes, also a hodgepodge. I want to say these are Terra Moon shadows, and then Shine by SD, and then these two, don't even know. But see, the thing is, for me, when I go through and I make BYOPs, I literally open up every single empty magnetic palette that I have, and I just pull the shadows that really speak to me, and then I kind of swatch them all. I'll have like my top shadows, and then the ones that are extra, because I'm lazy, a lot of times they just end up in the hodgepodge palettes rather than going back to where they started, if that makes sense to how I have them organized. I also have another Makeup Geek palette here that I bought when they rebranded. So this one actually does have a bunch of Makeup Geek shadows in there. I have another Lethal palette here. This one's funny because this was a hodgepodge. That's kind of a little questionable. So I threw some multi-chromes in here just because I needed somewhere to put them at the moment. Obviously that looks ridiculous. I have this palette here, which is all of my Menagerie single shadows. Oh, and then this one here is the shadows that didn't make it into the Harry Styles palette, actually. Here's that one from Divina. I've got some different Aurora Flare shadows, some different greens and yellows that I was considering. And then last, but certainly not least, is the Cleona Stained Glass collection. I do have the Cleona palette that they offer, but the only reason I bought it is because it was on sale. I think I maybe spent $18 for it, which is still normally more than I would want to spend. I do really, really love it. I think it's really beautiful, and it's a special place to put all their shadows in. And a lot of shadows fit in here, so no regrets there, and it has a really, really large mirror. But there's all of my Cleona stained glass shadows. They are stunning. So that is my entire single shadow collection. Obviously I have a lot, but to be fair, I love single shadows. I use them all the time. I'd also like to say that I get them sent often for review, but even if I didn't, it would still be a large collection because single shadows are my favorite. So I really, really hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you tomorrow for the very last day of Indie Miss. Bye.